Just waiting to connect on Facebook. There we go. Hey there, Regina Andler here, and it is time for Tips and Tricks Tuesday. I want to talk today about, I put calls to action on the Tips and Tricks Tuesday title. I like to call them action invitations. So, what is a call to action or an action invitation? It's basically just you giving your audience the next step. So that is the basic premise behind it. Why do we need a call to action? Why don't people just automatically go, hey, I'm going to connect with that person, or I'm going to go to their website, or I'm going to download something that they have, if you don't actually give them an invitation to do that? Why don't they do that? It's all psychological. Here's the thing. Us humans like to be told what to do. Believe it or not, we do like to be told what to do. And the thing is that with all of the information, we just have so much information coming into us from all different angles all day long. And when you think about all of that noise, all of that stuff, we're reading it, we're listening to it, we're watching it, we're going out to a website maybe and seeing some stuff. Without the person who is putting that out, so you as the business owner putting that content out there, unless you tell them what the next step is, they're likely just going to move on. Why? Because that's how we're hardwired. Psychologically, that's how we're hardwired. You know, what we want to do is we want to trigger a response from somebody. The whole premise behind a call to action or an action invitation is that we're triggering a response, an emotional response. Remember, everybody does everything based on emotions. So why am I going to even take you up on your action invitation? And again, I call it an action invitation, just going back on that for just a sec, because call to action to me implies I'm telling you to go do something. So it's a call to action. Here, click on this button, download this, comment here. It's telling me to do something. Whereas an action invitation to me just sounds a little bit nicer. I'm inviting you to click on this button. I'm inviting you to comment here. I'm inviting you to download something. I just like it a little bit better. So if you hear me talk about action invitation, all I'm talking about is your call to action. And when it comes to those call to actions, again, we're all psychologically, wired to be told what to do. And so when it comes to those action invitations, it makes a difference where you are and what your content is. So let's start with a Facebook post. So Facebook post, social media post, any kind of social media post. When you think about it, we put some great content out there. We put a lot of information out there. I put a tips one out every single day of the week, right? And on those tips, there's no action invitation, and that's on purpose. Now, on other posts, there are. When you're doing posts, not every post has an action invitation. I mean, there's some people who will argue that you should have an action invitation on everything. Me, I just kind of like to ease into people to build that know, like, and trust and not feel like I'm pushing my stuff down your throat. That's just me. There's other people who do it different ways. It works depending on what your audience is. It's very dependent on your audience. If your audience likes to be pushed, then by all means, put a call to action everywhere. If they're kind of the laid back, you know what, I like the action invitation kind of thing because, you're inviting me to come do something. That sounds kind of cool. I feel comfortable with that. I'm going to click on whatever you put there. If that feels more comfortable for your audience, then that's what works. So on those social media posts, an action invitation could be something as simple as comment below. That's an action invitation. That's a call to action. That's getting your audience to engage. That's all a call to action and action invitation is doing. It's just getting your audience to engage in the next step, whatever that may be. So if that next step is just to have them comment below, because maybe that moves them on to something after that. It all works in like this little ladder kind of thing where you start small. You give them a small little action invitation. You start building that know, like, and trust. And as you build the know, like, and trust, your action invitations might get a little bit more engaging, meaning you might start with a comment below on a social media post. And now you have something out on social media where you say, hey, click here to download this free guide. Or click here to go to my website. where maybe you have a lead magnet or a free guide. Hopefully you do. And you use that. And so then that leads them on to the next step. And think about that. In a lead magnet, what do? At the end of your lead magnet, you have another action invitation. And it steps them further along in the process. The whole idea behind a call to action is to build the know, like, trust, and move your prospects through the journey from prospect to client. Or they might just be, hey, we looked at your stuff. It's great. You're not the right fit for me, so I'm going to move on. That's okay. It helps you weed out the people who you really want to work with as well. So when you think about what you're using for those action invitations, think about that social media type. And then what lead magnets do you have? When we say lead magnet, we're leading them down that path to the next step. There's a call to action, an action invitation at the end of your lead magnet that leads them to the next step. That might be now you've built some know, like, and trust. So now it might be, hey, click here to book a 30-minute consultation call or discovery call. You don't want to do that out of the gate. Why? Because if I don't know, like, or trust you yet, the last thing I'm going to do is schedule a call with you, because in my head, again, psychologically speaking, I'm automatically going to assume that that's a sales pitch. And I'm sure not going to go into your sales pitch. I don't even know you yet. So when you think about your call to action, think about your audience and where they are in the journey. If you have a core group of people who are already well onto their journey, maybe they're not clients yet, but they already know you, they already like you, they already trust you, they already know what you've got out there and believe in you and know that you can provide a result that they're looking for. Absolutely move them on to that next step to say, hey, download my guide, join my free masterclass. Click here to join my class. And then at the end of your class, there's an invitation to join your program. These are all action invitations. So when you think about what you're doing, where are you currently putting your calls to action? Are you using them to your advantage? Or are you just plopping things in here and there saying, hey, download this, download this? Now, one word about landing page, we'll say landing pages and websites. On those pages, you generally have a button, a little button, right? And there's actually some psychology behind those buttons. And again, the color of a button can make a difference. So a red button might trigger somebody fear of missing out. It's a red button, act now. And it's a fear of missing out kind of thing. Where you might have a green button that says, maybe it's shop now, sign up, learn how here. Something a little bit more laid back, not so FOMO, that fear of missing out, not so in your face, hey, do this now or else. You know, those buttons, red buttons work great for that. Green buttons are great for the, hey, discover this or whatever. And you're doing a little bit of psychology there with the triggers and the emotional. I know if I see a red button, I'm instantly like, oh, what's that? Do I need to act on this? What do I got to do? If I see a green button, I'm like, oh, what's this? Am I interested? You know, it's psychologically speaking, it does make a difference. So when you're thinking about your calls to action on your website, maybe you have a free guide that you're downloading, a class that you're sending them to. Maybe you have a landing page for your course, and there is a fear of missing out. There is a, hey, act now for this price. You want to make sure that that button conveys the right message psychologically so that more people will click on it. So there's a lot more stuff we can talk about on calls to action. And when you think about it, think about where you are putting your calls to action now. And is that the right action invitation for your audience? Go back and think about your audience, what it is that they want and need from you to move on to the next step and get them there by using that call to action. So that's what I've got for you today. I do want to mention that there is a little selfless plug here. The Unicorn Factor came out last week, and there is a whole section in there about call to action. So if you didn't get your copy, bounce out on Amazon, grab your copy of the Unicorn Factor, how to demystifying marketing content to set you apart from the crowd, and learn even more about how to do those calls to action. We'll see you next time on Tips and Tricks Tuesday. Bye for now.